Listeners, Season 3, Episode 1, we are here. This is going to be a fantastic episode with Mayor Briton Williams. We're pumped. We're answering a very specific question, how your local development impacts your real estate. Listen now. Listeners, Season 3, Episode 1, welcome back to the Market Shakers podcast. And for this season, there is one question we are going to be answering. Why? Why is the local turnout for elections, for our city officials, our leaders, not as strong as the national level? As a real estate professional, we get asked the question, or we hear the response. Our federal government's policies, our presidential policies, our treasury interest rates on the federal level, that is affecting my personal property. When you look at it at the local level, those decisions are what really drive your personal property, your real estate, your home, your land here locally. The federal government is not as big of an influencer when it happens when industry leaves your town. When industry leaves your property goes down. No one's moving here. That affects your property, and is up to your local officials, your local leaders to drive growth, to drive that industry, to keep your city, your community attractive to the people who are not currently here. They got to come here to make your property value increase or to remain stable. And we're going to be answering that question. We're trying to solve that this season. And I could think of no better person to kick us off. Mayor Briton Williams here, North Augusta City Mayor, circa 2021. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you very much. I tell you, this is a treat for me. But, your first two seasons, you've had all these big, heavy hitters. You've had Jackson talking about bridge builders, which he's a great, godly man. I love that program. I support it. I know you've had Kim Evans from the Boys and Girls Club. You got all this momentum, and you're starting your year off with me. I mean, you're you're trying to keep it going. I'm real concerned about this now.
I'm sorry.
We are excited about. I appreciate the opportunity because there's a lot of exciting things happening. So I'd love to talk to you about them.
Yeah. So what do you think about that question we're proposing to the audience this season?
Well, I will tell you, it's a good question, and I can't tell you the exact percentages, but I'll just kind of go back to in 2021. I mean, I got reelected this previous year in May for my second term, but in my first term in the general, we had maybe 3,060 voters. I got like 72% of that. That's out of 16,000 registered Republican voters. Wow. Out of a community of 25,000. So what is that? 18, 19% maybe. So we have got to be below the national average, which probably in itself isn't great. But one of the things I mentioned to you before we came on is in our study session last night, we're proposing changing our general election dates to coincide with the presidential and the midterms.
Okay.
So we'll be voting on that this coming Monday. It'll be 2 ordinance readings. Mm-hmm. So don't know how that will go yet, but I think we all realize that our turnout is been poor. And the reality is it's, I can't tell you how many people will tell you, God, we didn't even know you had this election coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can kind of get on the same track as the national and the state election, I think that would be very positive. That's one of the things we're discussing, and we'll see how it plays out. We haven't voted on that yet, but I think there's an appetite for that change. We'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks.
So it's not exactly a case of apathy with the general public. It's just information. It's promotion.
It is. I think so, because one of the I guess the advantages, or if you debated not changing it is in the past, people would tell you, well, you have your educated voters because the guy, if you're educating, you're on top of it, you're going to show up the vote, right?
Mm-hmm.
I vote every year. It doesn't really matter when it is I'm going to vote. But we know society in general, we are convenience oriented. And if we are not engaged in what is happening, and quite frankly, when you have an off cycle every 2 years, people just, for whatever reason, they don't care.
You can even put the big old banner on Georgia Avenue and go vote.
Doesn't matter.
And it doesn't matter.
Yes.
Well, for those who may be across the river or just so tell us a little bit about who is Briton Williams.
Okay. Well, I was born and raised here in Augusta, Georgia. I went to the high school at Richmond Academy. I went off to college at Presbyterian, which is a small school over in South Carolina. Met my wife in college and have been in South Carolina, moved to North Augusta probably 30 years ago.
Okay.
I was in the banking business for about 17 years and then left there and started my Edward Jones investment office. Been with Jones going on about 27 years. So, people, when you think about people running for politics, the question I always get is, have you always wanted to be in politics? I never cared about wanting to be involved in politics. I never thought about doing it. I didn't want to do it. But it's kind of like I told people, if you ride down the road on a beautiful day, you have a clear windshield, and out of the blue, a little pebble pops up out of nowhere.
Yes.
And gets that little star in your windshield. And then over time, it kind of expands into a spider. That was me. I've always been very positive about the direction of our city, and I've supported everything we have done. But whatever I had that doubt a number of years ago, and over time, it just got bigger and bigger. And I did like a lot of people. I complained and finally said, you know what? I just started writing out, quite frankly, my vision of where do we need to be as a city. And I kind of shared it with people. And next thing I know, I got elected.
What is the vision?
So often in politics, you hear people wanting to change things. I love North Augusta. I wasn't trying to change what our forefathers had done. All my platform and what we've been focused on is let's add to it. What can we add to? So, for example, communication. Okay, we needed to communicate better. And one of the things we did is we started something called the Public Power Hour. So now every citizen once a month can come in front of our city council in a very informal session and just share with us their concerns. And we have literally made I cannot tell you the number of changes we have made in our government because a citizen came forward and said, hey, are you aware of this? Okay, so it's not a regular meeting, and it has been probably the most powerful communication tool we've had. So it's been very exciting.
When is this? If I want to participate,
First Monday of every month at 5:30.
And that is
It's about 30 minutes at the Municipal Center, third floor of our council chambers. Okay. So we're having 3 to 4 people at a time. So it's been fantastic. The other one is our downtown. This is embarrassing to say. I believe, and you think about it in real estate, when you're showing people to a community, you can go, whether it's a big city like Greenville, or you can go to a small town like Washington, Georgia. All the great communities that you want to hang out at have a downtown, right? Mm-hmm. That is kind of what I call the heartbeat of our community. Downtown has never been a priority in North Augusta. The very first thing we did, real simply, we actually added trash cans, park benches, and bike racks. We did not have a trash can in our downtown. That's embarrassing to say. So prioritization is, hey, what kind of positive big impacts can we do? Now, if you notice the flower pots all through downtown, that's through a foundation, beautification foundation that work with nonprofit North Augusta Forward. So I'm all about collaboration. Can we get groups together to, make a change? So the downtown. And the third thing was tourism. I just felt like our citizens, not only did we not know the gems that we had in North Augusta, we weren't promoting it for people who would want to come here. So anyway, those are the priorities that we've been focusing on. And this is not what this is about, this podcast, but I could go on with a lot of great things that I think our council and our city is doing in those directions.
Well, I think it does have a lot to go with it, or to do with it, simply because these are steps, like you said, tourism,
Quality of life.
quality of life.
So it's like, for example, under tourism, one of the first things, it always drove me crazy. We had never had an event on the river. Now, we have built a golf course on the river. We have built houses on the river, but we never had anything in the water. So the very first, my second year, we had something called Down to the River, and and we actually had raft races on the water, and it was homemade raft races. And that first year, I mean, it was incredible. You saw people up on the banks of the Savannah River, something out of Huckleberry Finn movie, where you're floating down the mighty Savannah River,
And it's homemade raft.
down the south, homemade raft. So that was great. We had music, we had food trucks. But we knew that tourism was something we had to promote. So the biggest decision we made is we actually took tourism out of our Parks and Rec department and said, let it be a standalone department.
Okay.
And we put Carl Waldrow as a director, and basically that team has just changed the trajectory of what we're doing. We have something called Explore North Augusta. We have our own podcast now as well.
Mm-hmm.
We have a website. We have concerts at amphitheater. So we have branded North Augusta, Explore North Augusta. So again, tourism is a big deal, but all of those things have to do with quality of life. And I'm just going to kind of move forward. People talk about growth, and in real estate, you can appreciate growth. That's important. Why are we growing? Why has North Augusta grown so much? And some people say, "Oh, this growth is too much." Well, the reality is, in South Carolina, you may know this probably already. We are the fastest growing state in the country for the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then we're sandwiched between the two largest employers that are bringing people. Fort Gordon, which is now the cyber command for the entire U.S. Army.
Mm-hmm.
So the development, they have the largest construction budget in the U.S. Army is at Fort Gordon. So you're talking about a tremendous growth of cyber. And you got the Georgia Cyber Center. And then the last thing is Savannah Riverside, we're talking about beforehand. The cleanup of Savannah Riverside, that'll be done in about 6 years. Mm-hmm. It's new missions now. There'll be 4,000 new folks for construction over the next couple of years. So
we're demographics of employers.
Yeah. So we're sandwiched. So growth is here, and why the downtown is so important is this. Again, you can go to Greenville, and I've actually asked citizens in Greenville, that's a huge city, right? If you talk to people who live in Greenville, they'll tell you why they don't think of Greenville as a big city, because they can go into the downtown Greenville, and there's so much to do. It's that if you've been in downtown Greenville, it's a great hangout.
Large city, small town.
Exactly. And that's why our downtown is so important to make that happen. And we're doing those things. Our trolley, is incredible. And I'm going to talk more about that later. But we're doing those kinds of things. So I think as we grow, and we're going to grow, making our downtown the heartbeat, the connection between downtown and Riverside Village, that is critically important.
Mm-hmm. When I talk about North Augusta, from a real estate perspective, appraisals in downtown North Augusta are one of the scariest things in real estate to me, because there is a very clear corridor.
Yep.
It's a pocket here in North Augusta where you cannot find anywhere else in our region high dollar residential until you get to like Aiken, really high dollar residential. Where you can buy a home at a certain price point, and you can walk to shops. You can, from Publix to the Rapids with a golf. You don't need a car, really. You can work in this area. You can golf cart anywhere in this area. You can go to a baseball game. You can shop. You can go to Lowe's. You can get your groceries. I mean, you can do everything. And that what I think is so cool about where this whole area is headed is that's the only place right now where you can truly do that. is this downtown North Augusta corridor. So when we get a house and it comes on the market, it gets very expensive very quickly. And an appraiser from out of the area, if they don't know this,
Yeah.
they go and they comp a house somewhere else, and it's a scary thing.
Yes.
And what we're building in this area. You mentioned the trolley. I've noticed the new trolley stop signs have popped up. Those are kind of cool.
It is. So, as a matter of fact, what's interesting, that was one of those things that we started that the city was not using the trolley when we have our third Thursday, which is our Merchants Alliance forum third Thursday. Kind of be like what Augusta used to do, or maybe they do with First Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Merchants stay open. There's concerts outside of stores, and we're starting to get places like Cavaliers and the Grove and Sheila. So we're starting to get Shop 3130. We're starting to get the types of restaurants and shops where people want to walk and hang out at. So we started to rotate. We started that trolley running, but we have bought a brand new trolley now. And we are now running that through mid-December as a trial basis downtown to Riverside Village. And we have a map of it every Friday night and all day Saturday night.
Okay.
So I tell you where I think it's going to be huge is we have 3 parcels at Riverside Village where we're having apartments.
Mm-hmm.
Probably another 58 at parcel G and K that'll probably be leasing soon this year. The parcel C, I'm jumping ahead of you on this one, growth, but parcel C probably another 178, parcel K another 300. But can you imagine people who live down there being able to jump on the trolley and come uptown and vice versa?
It's like a little mini public.
And you got folks at Hammond's Ferry. You say, hey, I don't want to get in my car, but I'd love to go. I mean, I can't tell you the number of people. Like one of the things we did about amenities, if you notice the white lights we have in all our trees in our downtown at night.
I saw the landscapers were coming and putting all those up.
Yeah. So our evening, we have white lights. It is incredible. But when we were looking at that one night, I can't tell you, there were 2 or 3 different folks from Hammond's Ferry who were walking up Georgia Avenue from their home to go to Your Pie.
Mm-hmm.
So now imagine you sell a house down at Hammond's Ferry. There was an event just the other day that it was oyster roast that one of the nonprofits had under the tunnel.
Correct.
Okay. I was so excited to see about 15 people who all live in Hammond's Ferry on the trolley riding it up to Center Street to go to that event.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, as a realtor, think about, you just talked about him. If you're buying a house in our downtown and you can walk a little bit, ride the trolley on a weekend with your family, I think that is quality of life. That is, no one else is offering that.
It can't be replicated. It's not replicated anywhere else.
So that's pretty cool to me.
It is. It's very cool. We, my wife and I moved here 2 years ago from Martinez, and we happened upon a money pit and 114, 115-year-old money pit, and we said, let's try this, and you'll love this, and we'll give you a little second to promote this here. But I come home one evening in October, and I go, and who are all these people parking in front of our house? What is this? This is ridiculous. She goes, Matt, we bought in downtown. The Jack-O Lantern Jubilee is happening. We accepted this when we signed the paperwork that people would use our street as parking for this. And I said, oh my gosh, that's right. We can walk down to it. We can be a part of this. Like, we are in the middle of this whole thing. And like I said, it's hard to find that anywhere else. And I think that's so cool.
Well, people talk about, there's even a couple folks in council we debate, we don't have a parking problem in downtown.
Let's talk about that.
We have a walking problem. So think about, example, perfect. Think about Jack-O Lantern Jubilee and think about the Christmas parade.
Mm-hmm.
There's never an issue. You have people parking all up the Living History Park, up West Avenue, and what do? They walk. Any place you go to Charleston, Greenville, you can say any community, you're going to park and walk. Mm-hmm. But we have the mindset that if I can't pull right in front of my business, then I'm not going to do it. And we have a parking problem. So we really don't have a parking problem. Now, you may have to walk a block, or two, but with our parking deck and our parking, we do not have a parking problem. I will debate anyone on that.
Let's take a moment for that. So, the development in Hammond's Ferry, these apartment complexes. I know you haven't heard the end of it. They, parking problem. And whenever everyone asks me that question, what do you think? I say, well, I'm not in the meeting rooms, but I'm sure they have something called a traffic engineer, and they know exactly how much parking they're going to need. And I'm sure some boxes have been checked in those meetings.
We actually had to prove an initial concept of a parking plan, and that is fluid. But again, you have to kind of also wait to see, just because you're going to have 300 apartments being built, it's not as if that you're going to have 300 people show up that first day. Mm-hmm. So part of it is seeing exactly where are the pressure points going to be. But yes, there's going to be parking and the different parking decks. We got 3 parking decks. We got Augusta Oncology, which is the old Medac parking deck. We have the stadium parking deck. We have the hotel parking deck. So there are reserved spaces in those decks, as well as street parking. So yeah, we're in the process of putting together the logistical aspect of what it would look like.
Concrete's expensive. We got to make sure we spend it when we need it.
But we are working on that, and we know the numbers are there. It's just a matter of how do we want to make it based on the pressure point. So we're going to make it work. But again, it's like, I don't know, it might have been a couple months ago, we had a concert at the amphitheater. And on Saturday night, the amphitheater was I think it was a 80s or 90s band, cover band, and amphitheater was packed. Mm-hmm. Southbound, packed. Mm-hmm. Brinkley's, packed. Jackson Bluff, people were hanging off the balcony at the Crown Plaza, Jackson Bluff. I mean, it was incredible. And I was going around talking to people. Not a single person said, oh my God, the traffic getting down here was so bad. You know why? Because people who go to Riverside Village, who go to their concert, guess what they know? There's going to be traffic. Mm-hmm. No one goes to the SRP Park to a Green Jackets game and goes, oh, I can't believe the traffic. Going in. It's like going to Athens when I go to Georgia game, or you go to Carolina. No one goes to places where they want to go, and they realize traffic and congestion, I know it going in.
Ton of people.
And if people don't want that traffic, don't want that congestion, well, guess what? Don't go. But that's what I'm saying. The people who went to that concert, the people who go to those restaurants, they get it. They understand it going in. Mm-hmm. That's not why they go. And, so.
Let's talk about the golf carts.
Okay.
Golf carts. South Carolina had some big legislation. Representative Hickson championed that bill. I think we've got it buttoned up at this point.
On the legislative side, yes. Mm-hmm. So basically what all the legislators did is they basically gave the municipality mm-hmm. the ability to dictate what we want our golf cart law to be.
Correct.
So we have not scheduled that study session yet. It is on the list. Mm-hmm. So we are going to have a study session to start having that conversation. What does it need to look like?
Correct.
So
what questions are being
we don't know what that looks like. Well, I mean, a lot of it has to do with the length of time. The biggest questions we get from folks is, okay, I live in Hammond's Ferry and I want to go out to dinner at Brinkley's, or I go to SRP to Green Jackets game. Mm-hmm. It's over at dark right now. If you're in the golf cart at night, that's against the law.
It is.
Right? And, I get questions, what about age? You got young kids who are driving it. So I think we've got to decide, does a golf cart, and I haven't come to terms myself. I don't think it should just be Hammond's Ferry, because we have people in Hammond Hill, where you are, up in downtown, east side, that want to use their golf cart. So we've got to figure out what's going to make sense for our citizens, but at the same time, we got to make sure we don't put people,
at risk.
There's
a reason those laws were in place.
So we are going to have that conversation in a study session, begin that talk. I can't tell you when. I doubt it's going to be this year, because we're in the process of the budget. We've got 3 or 4 other things. Like I told you about the election, and we got one more reading for impact fees. So, I mean, we got a lot of things that we're trying to do, but I mean, I would expect the next few months that would be study sessions because we do need to address that sometime next year.
It's exciting. It's really exciting. Once again, another really unique thing about North Augusta that I think it's hard to replicate anywhere else is our ability for what do they call them? Light. What's the name for a golf cart? Like a light vehicle. Help me out here.
I know.
What do they? What?
I don't know how. I don't have a golf cart. I just call them a golf cart. Yeah.
Golf cart.
Yeah.
So, speaking of just more events. So, what's Jack-O Lantern Jubilee? That is what's the date on that? We got Blues Trip coming up.
Well, let me tell you a couple things about that. So it's coming up in 2 weekends. So it's going to be the Friday, October the 24th.
Okay.
I think that's a Friday, the 23rd, and the Saturday the 24th, whatever 2 Saturdays is. But what we did 3 years ago for the first time is Friday night, we earmarked that as our Christian contemporary music night.
First night.
So I will tell you, we had Toby Mac, we had Big Daddy Weave last year. You're talking about 10,000, 8,000 people. North Augusta is a godly community. And then again, we got Matthew West.
That's this year, correct?
Yes, right. So he's written a ton of songs, had a ton of hits. So Friday night is it's going to be a fantastic evening. And then to your point, on Saturday, we've tried to keep that more secular, and we have had a ton of people from 38 Special to this year we have Blues Traveler. That fits their big hit is Run Around, which is a great hit. So Blues Traveler is going to be incredible. But Jack-O Lantern Jubilee is another small town America. We shut down Georgia Avenue. We have got, what I think we've increased this year, if you notice, for kids is it's almost like a carnival fair. I mean, the number of rides now is a lot. So we have that. We have 3 or 4 different stages. So we have all the bands. We have the dance studios. We have Halloween costumes for kids. We've got a ton of vendors, everything food-wise you can think. Then we have the concerts. So it's just going to be an incredible night. But let me tell you what hit me 2 years ago. And this is where you can look at this one or two ways. I looked at this as being excited because it used to be years ago when you had an event, you almost had to feel like you had to get everybody there for it to be successful, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was 2 years ago. I'm leaving Jack-O Lantern Jubilee, probably Friday night, and I'm going down Center Street because I'm going through Hammond's Ferry to get up to my house over in San Salvador. And so we left 10,000 people downtown North Augusta at the Friday night concert. I come down Center Street, turn at Riverside Village. I look to my left, southbound, Rio Cantina, all those places packed with people. None of those people were at the Jack-O Lantern Jubilee. These are just people who don't want to go to the Christian music. Okay? They're having a good time.
That's okay.
Okay. I then come up by Lions Field, ball game, crowds, parking. And what hit me was we are growing. And I think it's exciting that now we can have various events. We can have simultaneously things happening that will cater to different groups of people. And that's how you enrich the quality of life of your citizens. If you only have one thing, not everybody is going to do that. So I see that as being such a positive of the direction of North Augusta. So as we can continue to do that, I mean, it's like the little, we had the Merchants Alliance did something called the Mustard Crawl 2 Saturdays ago. It was the same Saturday as the Arts and the Hearts. Mustard Crawl. So every restaurant and shop, they had some type of tie-in about mustard. They were selling brats and had different types of mustards. Or the Orange Otter, which is our toy store downtown, was doing things with kids with yellow shirts. But that was a huge crowd there. But guess what? That crowd played off the Arts and the Hearts. Guess what? The Arts and the Hearts played off the Mustard Crawl. So, it's all Mayor Garnett Johnson and I, in Augusta, he and I talk a lot about, and I think collectively what we see in the CSRA is, listen, I'm trying to get wins for North Augusta. Mayor Johnson's trying to get wins for Augusta. Doug Duncan's trying to get wins for Clement County. But what we know in the CSRA is when one of our communities gets a success, it benefits all of us. We have a river between us. It's not a wall. So was this when Augusta got the cyber centers down here in Augusta, is that good for North Augusta? Absolutely, that's good. We got the green jackets. Was that ended up being good for Augusta? Absolutely it did, because I will tell you, if the Augusta Green Jackets were still where they were in Lake Olmsted, COVID, they would no longer be a baseball team. That setting wasn't going to make it. So when we have one success in one part of our CSRA, it does benefit all of us. And that's I think is huge. Again, as a realtor, I think that's very positive. Right? You have options and choices. So anyway, it's exciting.
Once again, if people don't want to move here, it doesn't matter what the interest rates are.
No.
It doesn't matter who's sitting in the White House. If nobody wants to come here, live here, see that quality of life, it doesn't matter. And that's the biggest point we're going to be making this season.
That's a good point. Yes, I agree with it.
The Christmas parade. That's next big event comes to Jack-O Lantern Jubilee, Christmas parade. What tell us a little bit more about that?
Christmas parade is actually put on by the Lions Club. That'll be coming up first Sunday in December. So I don't know who the Grand Marshal will be, but again, that's going to be a great opportunity, great time, small town America to hang out and come to downtown. So our council in the past, we like to walk and throw out candy, and that's always been fun for us. We did that a couple years ago.
And what's the established route? They change it up every year?
No, it starts basically right there at the top of the intersection of George Avenue and Martintown Road.
Okay.
So it comes down the hill there. And again, you got people all on their the houses there and the streets and the churches, and it's packed. Mm-hmm. So I remember, it might have been the first year, maybe our second year when I was a mayor, the first time we threw out candy. And it became real evident as we got past the churches. You know what? We started throwing this candy out too much, too fast. Because there's
a long route.
Where Parks Pharmacy is in Sheila's. There's a big group there. So we kind of had to do a better job of planning our candy distribution.
A little bit about, I run this. I'm the chairperson for the St. Patrick's Day Parade in Augusta.
Yeah, okay.
And one of the things we tell all of our participants is, hey, remember Broad Street's coming up. Don't throw all your candy out on Green. One, because we got to figure out to make sure it gets cleaned up. Two, there's a lot of people over there, and because that's one of our biggest things is, oh man, we should have brought more candy.
I'll tell you, one thing I want to compliment you on is what I appreciate you is you are vested in this community.
Thank you.
And, if you look at the number of organizations and nonprofits that you have put together campaigns in ways that you have contributed personally within your company as a realtor and been engaged in the community is huge. So that is, even whether it's in Augusta or even in North Augusta, it doesn't matter. It benefits the CSRA, which benefits all of us. So I compliment you for giving back because, again, not everyone's doing that.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And, I always tell people word of caution is you got to be careful of doing too many things at once.
Yeah.
Because you do everything pretty poorly when you get a little bit too stretched. So that's our theme this year is consolidating our efforts.
Good. You got to. Yeah.
For 26.
You can do too much.
If back to the Christmas parade, one more thing. If I want to get involved, if I want to bring in a float and just participate in the Christmas parade, who do I need to?
You need to reach out to the Lions Club.
Okay.
But what you can do is, if you want, you can Google the Lions Club. They'll have the application on their website. But if for some reason you've got folks who do not have a computer, if you just call City Hall, Jamie Paul, or City Clerk, we'd be glad to get you the number.
We love Jamie.
Yeah, she's great. So we're not doing it, but we can get you to Tara Carroll and the team at the Lions group that puts it on.
Okay. Let's talk about this. One of the other really exciting things that is going on. I think we're seeing is a bit of a transformation a little bit north of downtown. You got Martintown Road.
Yeah.
We've got the Hive. We've got the next to the Monterey's. We have that whole
Bluegrass.
Bluegrass. Tell people about what's going on over here.
So I will tell you, when I got elected, I told people I kind of used the Collins' Good to Great, if you ever read that book. But it's a great book. You ought to read it. Good to Great.
Good to Great.
P. Collins, Good to Great. But basically, he uses a flywheel analogy that talks about, when you start pushing a flywheel, eventually you don't have to push it anymore, right? But you don't know whether it's a 5th push or the 55th push. And that's kind of what our exit 5 has always been. I mean, it's a flywheel. We don't have to do anything about exit 5. Growth is continuing. Exit 1 is a next shoot or drop, and the Hive is that. So you're looking at probably 182 apartments. Mixed use, you're going to have another 300 or so residential units. There'll be a huge... So if you go from where the Waffle House is on Martintown Road across from the gas station to the interstate, that whole frontage road is going to be commercial. It's probably 100,000 commercial, different various things. What that will be, I don't know. There's been rumor, there's going to be a grocery store. I would tell you, I would love it if there was a grocery store, like a Lowe's grocery store or something, because I think that side of North Augusta needs something. But that has
Trader Joe's.
That hadn't been decided yet. The developer is doing that. But here's the thing about that. What's interesting, and I've been trying to get this point across to citizens, is you and I are riding down the road, and all of a sudden we see this big mound of dirt, or we see this construction. It's like, oh my God, this is just happening. The little background, back in the early 80s, City Council annexed about 400 acres, which the Hive is part of that. They annexed that into the city. Then in the early 90s, they changed the zoning to that land to commercial.
Okay.
John Engler and McKnight, who bought that, they bought that 10 years ago. So here is a project that the city knew back in the 80s, let's annex this land for future development. Let's actually change it to commercial for future development and even the development. So it's not like all of a sudden this happened. I mean, yes, we're seeing it now, but in a way, it's been going on for years. And most of our developments are projects that have been on the books and for different reasons, like Bluegrass, the one down there. So not everyone, people are concerned because all the trees down around Monterey's has been torn down. So that's, again, going to be Bluegrass. It's going to be a mixed use. So you're going to have some apartments. You're going to have a senior living component. You're going to have rent to own. Okay. So that's become very popular.
So you rent to own.
Right.
Oh, interesting.
Which, we debated that on city council. I prefer ownership, and you do too, being a realtor.
The end product is owned.
But,
we like that.
Yeah, but again, I think it's going to hopefully be a price point that's going to help revitalize. Because, everybody talk about, what are y'all doing on East Martintown Road? Well, I think this Bluegrass development, I think it's been changed. I still call it Bluegrass. I can't tell you what it's going to be called. But I think that is going to be good for East Martintown Road. And the reality is, trees got taken down, but that's a commercial sector anyway. Okay, you had vagrants in those woods in an old house anyway. So again, that's going to improve that East Martintown and East Buena Vista corridor. So I think that is going to be very positive. So again, those are projects that was approved years ago, but due to your point about interest rates and things, a lot of these developments, there's a lot of dynamics. It's not like they decide to do this automatically. It takes time. So even that's going to be a build out. So again, growth takes time. It doesn't happen overnight, but I do get it for citizens. It seems like it's happening overnight, but I promise we are not on the bridge with a sign that says build. Okay, we don't have to. Going back to quality of life for what we talked about for the where we located, our state, we are in a growth area, and it's just the way it is. You can't stop it.
Going back to your flywheel analogy, exit 5. Why? How did that? What was the spin on that? Why is that? Why has exit 5 done what it's done?
That's a good question. Again, I think it was a commitment from the city to kind of make that a commercial corridor. But we had residential anyway out there. So you had a lot of, on Bergen Road and Walnut, you got all those you got those subdivisions, then the subdivisions, the development behind Walmart, Now we have the new True Hotel. Okay. Aiken Regional just, last 18 months ago, 2 years ago, built the 24-hour standalone emergency room. Okay. So again, it's just continued to have that commercial component. So those residential pieces now have places to go to eat, right? So I think that's been part, and I do think we're seeing that component with the Hive. Now, I don't think you're going to see exit 1 being, if you leave the Hive, for the most part, you're in all residential going all the way in. So it's not like exit 1's not going to be exit 5 because there's just not enough space for that. Okay. But yes, I think the things that are going to happen at exit 5 on the commercial side are going to be very positive. And again, you think about our location, the number of people who use I-20 we do have a lot of folks who live in North Augusta that work in Augusta. And they are going out using I-20, both on exit 5 and exit 1. So, yeah, it drives growth.
And to your point, these developments, there's something to be said that when things when the perimeter of you see this all the time, metro areas, the perimeter gets developed, more and more spaces build. Everything on the inside benefits. Everybody, the closer to the center of town towards it, they benefit. They benefit.
It does. And here's the thing, and you know this better than anyone because you've sold houses everywhere. And this is not I'm making a negative statement, but it's not negative about the community because Grovetown is an incredible is a great community in Columbia County. But I hear and see people on social media talk about we're going to be the next Grovetown. And we're not going to be the next Grovetown because Grovetown doesn't have the infrastructure in place. It is more of a suburban sprawl. That's not a negative. I'm just saying with Fort Gordon and everything, but we have infrastructure to your point. Okay. We have a downtown. So we have infrastructure. So are we going to grow? And the other thing that's important, we are not looking to just continue to annex and expand. The city did that for years.
That's already been done.
Our annexation is really filling in donut holes. You'd be shocked at the number of communities that we surround. The Wintry is surrounded. That is not in the city.
Oh, is it really? Okay.
That is a donut hole in the county. You look at the subdivision right across Ponderosa Drive, across from Mossy Creek. That is in the county. So, will we strategically annex a piece of land that is contiguous if asked for us? Yes, but are we just trying, and that's been the fear for folks in Edgefield. As the city just continued to expand, we're not trying to annex land going toward Edgefield, okay? We're going to be strategic about it if we're asked. But as far as are we just looking to expand and do that, we are not trying to do that, and that's not our intention.
Understood.
We have enough on our plate right now that are in some form of design, planning commission, council, whatever it may be, to keep our hands full with development moving forward.
One question we always ask everybody. This is the question. 2026, North Augusta. What excites you the most? What are you most excited about for North Augusta in 2026?
I wish I could say one thing. I'm going to say the downtown, but what I'm really excited about, because we are going to begin to move forward in the downtown Greenway Connector.
Okay.
So the vision has always been, we have the Greenway, which is an incredible jewel, right?
It is.
But it's always been a recreational asset.
Okay.
We want to make it an economic catalyst, similar to what the town Travelers Rest has done. So have you ever heard of Swamp Rabbit Trail up near Greenville?
No.
It's
Tell me more.
like the Greenway, but much longer.
Okay.
So Travelers Rest is a town of maybe 5,000 people. Georgia Avenue, which is Highway 25, that goes from the river in North Augusta all the way up to Furman.
Mm-hmm.
It goes through the state. When the Swamp Rabbit Trail from Greenville County, from Greenville, started coming to Travelers Rest, their leaders did an amazing thing. They said, let's put the Swamp Rabbit Trail in the back of our downtown businesses, not on the main thoroughfare. So now what happened is you are riding bikes, you're walking, they're downtown businesses. Now you and I enter in the front of a building. Now you and I are entering on the back porch. So you have breweries and bike shops and restaurants.
It's all right
All
there.
of this is happening. So you're riding your bike, and now development and things of quality of life that everyone wants more restaurants, we want more shops. That's happening in Travelers Rest. So we have an alley system on both sides of Georgia Avenue, east and west, that historically has been used for sanitation, for sanitation truck.
Mm-hmm.
So we own probably 90% of the alley. And if you go from Bluff Avenue all the way up to First Baptist on both sides, that's the length of the Augusta Mall, about the length of that. So we've done phase one, which is we bought the Greenway up Bluff Avenue. And right now it's at where Beacon Bluff is, at that alley. We need to move it into the alley and start getting it going up that alley on the west side. And why that's important is Fleet Feet, which just opened their second store.
Mm-hmm.
They moved in their second store. They moved to North Augusta because of the downtown Greenway Connector.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The developer of Beacon Bluff, the whole reason that got moving again was because he said he saw the commitment from the city about our downtown and the downtown Greenway Connector. So imagine you and your wife, you're riding on the Greenway, and God, I would love to be able to, why not ride up and go get an ice cream cone from Pink Dipper?
Pink Dipper, yep.
Or hey, maybe I want to stop at Cavaliers and get a coffee. So again, we're kind of using Travelers Rest as a template, but I hope to kind of begin design work beginning next year and begin putting the flag in there so we can start making some progress toward that piece. So it's not going to be completed. It's a long process, but I kind of want that to be the next piece that we are promoting and talking about so we can get people excited about it, because it will be a game changer for our downtown.
Well, I want to commend you. This is not happen overnight. This is 5, 10 years, 20 years down the road where all these things the benefits are realized. And so from your perspective, from what I'm hearing is you're focused on planting those seeds. We're planting the seeds for the next generation of leaders and community members. So I want to commend you for this vision and putting your part in it.
Well,
it's a lot of work.
Hopefully when it's all said and done, we put enough in place that the future council and mayors can see it and can complete and build on where we need to go. But anyway, I tell you, the future North Augusta, it's bright. And really, really bright. And it's exciting to have a small part in what we've done so far, but our future's bright. So
thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. It's been great. It's been a lot of fun.
It has been. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.